What's up, folks? How's it going? So today I'd like to talk about the situation surrounding the supposed leak from the Supreme Court, all the reactions around it, and how I see it as a clear, just a great microcosm of all the evidence of everything that shows how this society, this government, is falling, is no longer functional, and how the media and how the government has complete control over the narrative, and has demonstrated an ability to control emotions and conversation in a way that I didn't ever really think was possible. So, first thing I'd like to say is that just like all the speculations surrounding the war in Ukraine, it's very difficult for anybody to say anything solidly because, we're talking about a leak here of a thing. So I would say this. So first of all, the supposed leak is a document that was generated in February, okay? I believe they had this shit since February, and they waited on it until it was useful to release. People on the right are all excited because they think that abortion is banned now, and people on the left are all angry because they think abortion is banned now. Nothing has actually been decided anyway because it's just like an opinion brief or whatever. It's not actually happened yet. So that's the first thing I would say. And why nobody will fucking pump the brakes on this, and I don't get it. It's okay to be cautious on this. If it ends up coming out that way, then that's fine. Let's go with it when it goes there. But we're just taking this leak and we're just assuming that this is what is going to happen. So a lot of people are making factual statements that, to me, it doesn't make any sense to me to make factual about something that we know is not certain yet. So that's number one.
So to the people who are against this ruling, so to the people who are for it, I would say don't count your chickens before they hatch. And the people that are against it, I would say the same thing. But also I would say if you are morally against the ruling, a lot of people are very angry, well, you should consider that, again, this document that was leaked was created in February. They've had this fucking document for 3 months, and they only released it now when it was politically advantageous to do so. But the thing about all of this that's very striking to me is that nobody is really attempting to talk about the actual issues at hand. So let's say that this leaked document does reflect the eventual ruling that will come through. Well, the ruling has absolutely nothing to do with whether it's right or wrong to get an abortion. It has nothing to do with the religion or lack thereof or anything like that. It has to do with the concept of just creating rights whole cloth out of fucking nothing to satisfy the whim of the population when there is already a process in place, though slower, to provide for these things. All it would do is pass the power back onto the states, which, I really think that regardless of what your opinion is on the morality of abortion, it's very, very difficult to argue the constitutional argument here. And so the left isn't going to talk about it, which makes sense to a certain extent because that argument isn't in their favor, in my opinion. But the right also is not talking about the actual issue here, which is to do with the Constitution. They're talking about, abortion and right and wrong and killing babies and whatever. These are all valid opinions to have, but it's not what the issue is. It's not what is actually being decided. And it is my opinion that the people on the right are being just as duplicitous as those on the left and are playing into the overall goal here, which is to create a lack of trust in the legitimate constitutional system of governance. Okay? That's what I see is happening here. They're not making any attempt to explain what's actually going on here. It could be a great learning experience for people, and it's really not all that complicated. The Constitution is pretty simple, and if you understand a couple of concepts about law, it's really not that hard. But they don't tell anybody about any of this, so they think that they think that the Supreme Court is in there deciding whether it's evil or not to abort children. That's not what the issue is. But again, we don't even know if that's actually the ruling that's going to come out. And it's moved immediately towards this cultural conflict that they're attempting to create, and there's people saying, oh, there's going to be riots. I don't think there's going to be any fucking, who's going to fucking riot? Like, the thing is that I don't think anybody, first of all, nothing's happened yet. That's number one. Number two, even if the ruling comes out the way that this brief implies, I really don't see people having, with the exception of maybe a couple of southern states, most states are going to approve it. It's going to be, it's like the death penalty. It's been passed on to the states to make that decision. People would, now of course that's going to upset people because they, and this is the problem. This is why I'm saying that people on the right and people on the left in media and politics are one and the same, because they're going to advocate from two sides of this argument. They're going to both end up with the same answer. See, the quote-unquote right-wingers would like this to apply, because they're not talking about states' rights and all this other shit. They're not even talking about that. They're talking about, oh, we're getting rid of abortion. The right-wingers would like there to be a federal mandate against abortion, and the left-wingers would like there to be a federal mandate for abortion. The similarity is they both are advocating the supremacy of the federal over the state and local, which goes against, it goes against conservatism, certainly, but it goes against what's good for the American people, in my opinion, regardless of your race, sex, or income. Granting more power to the federal government is a bad idea. That's essentially what both sides are advocating for. They're pushing for this federalist view of the entire issue. They're purposely, and again, it's very insulting to the intelligence of the American people, because it's really not, and again, I think most people are really fucking dumb. But the shit is not that complicated if they would actually lay down we're talking about one of their bases for creating a board was like interstate commerce and shit. How do you come up with this? It's totally ludicrous. The other reason why I'm suspicious of all of this is that you mean to tell me, and again, this is just my opinion, but you mean to tell me that this court that has continuously ruled in a anti-constitutional fashion, in my opinion, its liberal rulings and its liberal and its conservative rulings, in my opinion, are both anti-constitutional. When they choose to view corporations as individuals, I don't see any constitutional basis for that. And when they, choose to say, again, like gay marriage, they weren't even deciding whether it's good or bad for society. That's not the argument. The argument was, is there a constitutional right for this? And anybody who's being even the slightest bit honest with themselves would admit that no, there isn't. But there's also no there's no constitutional basis to prevent it. So that was the whole point. But instead of leaving it up to the states and actually, you know, they decide to go the easy way and have the Supreme Court, you know, exercise this and again grant sweeping rights to the federal government to impose its will upon the several states. You know, but nobody is even talking about the structural issues at play here. And that's why I'm saying that this is a sign of the total collapse of this fucking country. It cannot continue to stand when the people on both sides don't even know how it works, aren't even discussing how it works. We're all talking about feelings here and shit. I find it very, you know, it's just, it seems obvious to me. It's like, you know, in Michigan, since Sunday, the fucking gas prices have gone up where I'm at 55 cents and a little bit less back in Detroit. 55 cents. Now, the AAA average does not reflect that, though it is showing it's quite high. Today they hit another record high in the state. And Voldemort Putin has not invaded any more shining democracies, so what's the reason? Why does it continue to get worse? Oh, because the entire system is collapsing under the weight of its own bullshit. Okay? And this Supreme Court leak is one of the desperate clawing attempts of the system to distract you from its death. Okay? And you're going to see more and more and more of this bullshit for the next couple of years until this thing plays out. I don't see how it can last much longer than another 2 or 3 years. I mean, just from the economic issues alone are fucking staggering. But they're hoping that by line, and both sides are fucking eating it up. You know why? Because everyone is scared. Everyone is fucking scared to admit what's happening here. So as soon as they're given an excuse for a distraction, god damn it, everybody jumps on that and are happy to discuss bullshit, because then they avoid having to talk about the fucking harsh reality of what's happening here. The whole system is set to collapse. There's no more adults in the room. The political parties do not matter. They're both, as I said, moving lockstep in all the ways that matter. The only way that they differ is semantically, you know what I mean? But they end up doing the same shit. You know, the system is collapsing, and people are going to do a lot of different things to distract people. Some people are doing it in good faith. Some people are, you know, most are doing it in bad faith. But, you know, it's just, don't fall into fighting these prepared arguments that they have in place for us here. This was all ready to go. Again, they had the leak since February. So whether if you're against the ruling, just remember that they could have told you this 3 months ago, but they didn't, because it wasn't to their political advantage to do it at the time. It wasn't time for the show yet. Now is the time for the show. So just remember that you're being fucking manipulated here. And people on the right are being manipulated because they're being told that this is about values or morals or something. It's not. If the thing goes through, it's about a constitutional issue, which is so much more important, because it's actually something that the government can affect. The government doesn't have the purview, or shouldn't have the purview, to decide what is fucking moral or not. That's not what the Supreme Court is sitting around doing. It's like people treat the Supreme Court like a council of elders or something that are sitting around like determining the moral relativism of a various thing. They're supposed to decide shit based on the law. And again, I'm very suspicious because you read the shit and it's like, yeah, that seems pretty obvious, and that's what people have been saying for
40 years about this issue. Why now? Why with a bench that, in my opinion, is much less conservative than it was 20 years ago? These people, half the people that Trump put in are fucking, they're not conservatives. It's all very, very suspicious that the Supreme Court would suddenly become competent. I reserve judgment, which is the smart thing to do at this point. You should be reserving judgment on any big issue until it's played out a little bit more. Say a bunch of silly shit. But yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. And again, I'm not even really. I purposely not even said what my feeling is on abortion, on whether it's right or wrong, because that's not what was at play here, first of all. And second of all, we don't even fucking know what's going to happen. We don't know. And it's not the issue. So there's no point in me discussing how I personally feel about it in this context. Maybe in a different video. But yeah, I don't know. Stay safe. Don't spend any money that you don't have to. Prepare yourself mentally and emotionally, and maybe even spiritually, however you will, for these next couple of years, because it's going to get more and more fucking retarded. And they'll do anything. They'll do anything to hold this together as long as possible. So just don't believe anything that they say. I'll talk to you folks later.